Could you please pronounce your names correctly for me?
Hello, Matthew. My name is Petter in Norwegian. Peter translated.
Hi, my name is Kari. Kari Ane in Norwegian.
This is going to be so easy. It's nice to have guests that are of different genders so that their voices are very distinctly different. It's very nice. So let's give a little bit of background on sort of who you are and what sort of perspective you're coming to this with.
Yes, I run a commercial gallery here in central based in Oslo. It was established in 1989, and I came in as a director in 1995, so I've been here quite a few years. And we have a Nordic profile. We represent Nordic artists and specialize in art on paper and graphic prints.
I work at LNM, which is an organization for contemporary painters. It's situated nearby Petter's gallery in the city center, and it's part of the organization MBK, which is Norwegian Artists Association. And as I said, we represent the wide perspective of painting, contemporary painting, and we have approximately 600 members and show 9 exhibitions a year, all curated or all chosen by our board, who are 5 professional artists and our CEO. Yes.
Marvelous. Now, I've been here for 6 days, and I had the opportunity to go to, and the pleasure to go to the opening of the brand new museum, the new National Musette. Musette, is that how you pronounce it?
Museet.
Nationalmuseet.
Museet. Okay, I was like, it's not a museum. It's got a T at the end. Yeah, the new National Museum. And there's a bit of sort of discussions because there's the Munch Museum, and then there's the Opera House, and then there's this brand new National Museum, all sort of creating this sort of downtown arts district. And you all come to it from a different perspective, being like what I would consider like commercial gallery versus a government-supported institution. So like, how does this, do you feel at this point that is a helpful thing, or are you sort of trepidatious and concerned? Does it sort of bring more people down? So like, what do you feel like the effects of having these major institutions and creating an actual like district is on Oslo?
I think it has a very positive effect. We have quite a few new institutions now. You mentioned the new National Museum of Art. We also have the quite new opera and a new National Public Library. Oster Fearnley, built by Renzo Piano a few years back, and of course the new Munch Museum. And all these institutions, I believe, attract art tourists or tourists as a whole, but also from Norway, and it increases the interest for art, which I think we as smaller institutions can benefit from, definitely. I
agree on the effect. We haven't seen the effect of audience yet because it's quite new, or it has just opened, and we can't see the effect on tourists. We can't see because it's been a pandemic and we've been closed down and everything. So, but I think the effect on, as Petter mentioned, the Norwegian people and the interest of art and towards art and also buying art and owning their own art, and maybe younger people owning their first artwork. And we've seen an increase of new buyers and new audience from the Norwegian, from different like levels and segments of the Norwegian population. And I think that's a good effect, because it's been in a focus in media, and it's been a focus in television and in everywhere, and people talk about it. In that way, it's an increasing interest, but how it will affect the audience as a whole and in the long run, we don't know, because we haven't had the effect yet. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, because one of the things that I've heard, and it could be just rumor, but is that there's sort of a focus right now on trying to draw more international people to the region for our arts, sort of travel and purchasing and engagement and things like this. Is this true?
There's Visit Oslo. I've seen that they have had more focus on the galleries and, of course, the museums, and been showing off more Oslo in that perspective, yes. But I don't know what the plan is and the strategies behind it, but I think it's hard to answer because we don't see it on that part of...
Well, it's a difficult dilemma because, like, okay, so let's say, so you have this arts district. I come from many different cities. I've lived in San Francisco and Abu Dhabi and all kinds of places with arts districts kinds of things. And sometimes they work, sometimes they fail. And quite honestly, it's really, really hard to even know why either of those things happen. So like you've got institutions which want tourists, and then you've got associations, nonprofit organizations, NGOs, whatever you want to call it, that also want that. And then you've also got like private sales at commercial galleries that they want buyers. Like, does having a centralized district help with this or not at this point?
You mean for the tourist sector, like to attract tourists?
Well, see, I would imagine having an arts district would help to attract tourists because they could literally just say, "Oh, I'm interested in arts. I can go to this one district and see and buy whatever I need." But I found in a lot of cities that oftentimes when there is a district, rents go higher, so therefore the art gets overpriced, and then it sort of becomes unattainable in many ways because like once a government says this is the district, it suddenly becomes more expensive to be there.
That's correct. We are situated, both Kari and a cluster of other galleries are situated in kind of the old city of Oslo. And we are now having like the Munch and the public library and the opera at one side of us. On the other side, we have the National Museum and Oslo Friendly. So time will show if but it's typical that prices rises. What do you call it?
Rent increase.
Rent increase.
We have already had rent increase.
Yeah, we as well.
But it was the change of owners of the building. So
it's positive that it attracts people and interest, but of course it's costing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, okay, how it was going through the pandemic with having these spaces with the arts. That's actually something I've never even asked anybody who runs like a gallery. Like, was it absolutely horrific? Did you just shift to online? Like, what was the way that you got through all that? And are things looking better at this point?
we had to do, of course, more online, but that would be an eventual effect anyway of how things are at the moment. So, and will be. But of course, closing down, the audience failed, but we have had an increase in sale of art. And then that's throughout Norway, I think, that people buy more art or have bought more art during the pandemic than before. And that's kind of interesting to see. And if that's an effect of like media's focus on the big institutions, or is it effect because people spend more time at home and wants to have something nice to look at, and also something to have a conversation over when they have a few friends that they're allowed to in their rooms? I don't know, but it's been positive on the sales and for artists and for also galleries, of course.
Yeah, I think when everything closes down, you can't travel, you can't spend money on travel, you can't go out on restaurants. Then it's more focus on what you can do at home. And a brilliant thing to do at home is to buy art and put it on your wall. Yeah. So I think, as Kari said, it's been quite good times for galleries in Norway. Yeah. Haven't you seen that abroad as well, Matthew?
It's a mixed bag because it depends on the market. It depends on the economy in that that country. Because some places were, we'll call it like harder hit than others. And then of course now there's the Ukraine effect that's sort of rippling through Europe as well. So there are different issues that sort of factor into this stuff. So I would say, no, I haven't seen it, but I also haven't really asked about it either. So there's a fine line there. But you mentioned that a lot of your sales have been more geared towards, or not geared towards necessarily, but have been more local and regional people more so. Is there a reason for that? Like, is there a great pride in Norwegian art that is suddenly coming up? Or has it always been there and it's just changing? Like, why do you feel this has been happening?
I think it's easier for people that's moving into experiencing art their first time. I think it's easier then to do it locally, and maybe it's less scary, maybe. And you can also have the opportunity to actually see it live instead of just digital. And we also did a project, or I did a project for L&M last spring, where we loaned out art to a new audience, new segments, younger people who are new into the art, and to have them at home, how to experience artworks at home, how to show artworks, how to use social media. And they became our ambassadors of showing out our artists and their own style, I think. There has been a big focus on trying to attract, from the Art Council as well, trying to attract more audience, trying to attract a broader sense of a broader audience, younger audience, how to like build an audience. And I think it has had an effect. Yeah.
It has had an effect, a good effect?
We'll see. We haven't seen the outcome yet.
Okay.
But I think it's a good initiative to build an audience is always good. If you want to, for longer, not just for 2 years, but yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, is the arts is always a marathon. Like, you cannot gauge anything on even 6 months or 1 year's worth of accomplishments. As much as we wish we could, we can't.
No.
Yeah. The thing, but living in Norway, it's great for artists and for galleries, and we are like during the pandemic, both artists and galleries received kind of special support to like in the hard times when we had to close down the galleries.
Oh God, I love Norway for the arts.
For months and months, we did receive some. Yeah.
So jealous.
Yeah.
Go
on. We have good foundations, and we're lucky. So.
Wait, hold on. Wait. You're a private company.
Yeah.
But you got government assistance?
As other private companies, not only in the art on the art scene. It's like all private companies that had like reduced sales or. That could somehow show that their ability to sell or produce money compared to pre-pandemic had somehow been affected. That's right. They were able to wow. God.
And also a very good thing they did was to support the large collections, the museums.
Yep.
So they would purchase more art from the galleries and from artists, so that it would increase, the whole circulation in the whole system. Yeah. So it's a very good initiative just to keep the art world living. Yeah.
Did they also increase the support to artists themselves as well?
You could apply for more support. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's great. I'm sitting here horribly envious. I mean, coming from America with this capitalistic bullshit about just like sales and survival of the fittest kind of stuff. Like it is. I'm so sad I was not raised in some socialized country like cares about this stuff in financial ways. But anyways, all right. So Peter,
say Peter, please.
Peter. Yeah. Okay. Because I know I sound stupid if I try and pronounce it in Norwegian. So, Peter, your gallery is a lovely gallery that carries beautiful works on paper across the board. So it's just works on paper. It's not for like photography and things like this. So it's
we do mainly works on paper and high quality the prints. Yes, and we also have some photo exhibitions. We have like maybe 9 exhibitions a year.
Well, the reason why I ask is because I'd like to hear a little bit about a sort of slight difference, because works on paper are often editions, and that's sort of one level of purchasing, selling kind of a relationship versus paintings and original pieces. So like, I'm sure you all talk outside of this conversation. So like, is there a difference in the buyer's perspectives? Like in a lot of places people think of, and please do not take offense to this, Peter, but like works on paper, sort of entry level collecting, whereas then like sculpture and painting theoretically is sort of like higher level collecting. I know that's not true, but I'm just saying that's how it's generally addressed. But like, do you find that that's kind of true? Because like with your multiples that you have, do you sell maybe a larger quantity versus painting, and then, or so like what's the sort of collecting purchasing ratio between the different kinds of mediums?
I will emphasize high quality prints. We work with and collaborate with workshops across the
residencies and workshops. Yeah, residencies and workshops.
Yeah, and also renowned artists that work on a high quality level with the printmaking. And you can say editions, multiples, yes, but they are quite small editions.
I have so many questions about editions, but go on.
Yeah, but also unique pieces on work on paper, different gouache and watercolor, and yeah.
Oh, while I was at the gallery, we were looking through works done by the engraver who engraved your currency.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that's just insane to me.
Yeah.
Not only that, but I met him. So I met the artist who engraves your currency.
But there's a high the craftsmanship of Norwegian and Nordic printmakers are really high.
Agreed.
We attend 2 great print fairs in the world, and one of them is London Original Print Fair, and they invite galleries to exhibit once a year, and we bring 7-8 artists, and we get a massive response internationally.
And how about painting?
Well, I think painting takes a bit longer to sell, because paintings are, as you said, they're often more expensive. It's only one original. And it's talking from the selling point. It's something that has to connect to the person. It's not something you do in effect, or some do, but they often have more money than our regular audience. And since we are an association as well, we show a lot of young artists. We have a large range in what the paintings are sold for, or the price of the paintings are very different, because we have some very established painters and we have young artists. And we also have once a year an exhibition where we show off the young artists that finished with the academies, and it's to showcase them and lift them up. And then we also do a solo show with them some years later, so just to build their reputation as well. Yeah. And we do sell a lot of art from young artists. I think that's a very good thing, that we're not like the high scale gallery that sell paintings for a lot of 100,000 kroners, but we are more. We do sell to collections, and we do sell to collectors, but we sell more to the more normal art audience or buyers.
Well, actually, and that's sort of a question. So the general art buyers in this region, for me, if I think of New York or LA or London or any of those sort of big hubs, a lot of the people who buy art actually are often being their art advisors that come in and help with the buying, but not necessarily the end purchaser kind of thing. So is that something that's popular here, or is it literally when somebody buys, they're buying for themselves?
It's not in that larger scale, I think, because Oslo is not that large, and but a lot of buyers do have people doing it for them, and all the big collections do have a group of people that do that, of course. I think it depends a lot.
Norway has a rather small art scene, and collectors. Yes, there are a few, and also institutions buying art. But for quality prints, there are few collectors actually buying quality prints. The National Museum obviously do it, and some other. So for us I mentioned the London Original Print Fair. For us to come out there and actually meet serious collectors of prints, that's great. Yeah.
Now, both of your institutions, do they only represent Norwegian artists?
We have, if they're educated in Norway, you can be represented, or at the academies. Yeah.
I know. Sorry, I started laughing because I just waited for you to say, if they're educated, period.
Just stop. Then it's okay.
Then it's fine. Yeah, we'll take them if they're educated.
and polite. Yeah. No, but if they're educated at any of the academies in Norway or live here, you don't have to be Norwegian citizen to be represented at our gallery. But you have to have some kind of connection. We do have members that do not live in Norway or are not Norwegian, or it's not. We're not that square in putting or accepting. It's just have to, since we're governmentally funded as well. It has to have some connection to Norway.
Makes complete sense.
Yeah.
And you?
Well, as I mentioned, we have a Nordic profile, so we work with artists from Finland, Sweden, Denmark, obviously Norway, and some Iceland. We represent around 400 artists. And
that's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot, because we have exhibitions, as I mentioned, and there are kind of like 40 or 50 of them that we exhibit once in a while. Yeah, but we also work with art in architecture. So we work with companies and institutions, kind of what you will call decoration. And then we need like a big database to work with on art, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because works on paper are great for offices, hotels, things like this, like, large architectural places that need a large volume of work at reasonable prices.
That's right.
In comparison to painting. Not cheap, though. Yeah, just to be clear, I don't want to offend. So... Don't get me wrong, I'm a works on paper person, just to be clear.
Very good.
I'm a photographer. I've been working on my whole family works on paper. So I'm on your side.
I can also say that our gallery in Kunstverket, we also when we work with art in architecture, we work as much with paint and sculpture and photos, and textile even, So you need that scope, but as I said, prints you can buy volumes and quite relatively cheap,
I mean, hotels love prints because they can put literally the same image in like half the rooms.
Yeah.
Good thing. Yeah, and nobody knows because you're only staying in one room at a time. So how would you know there's the same art everywhere? It's so bad. But anyways, well, okay. So as far as this whole sort of the art scene and this art district that's downtown, what would you like to see happen?
Karianne and us, we are situated in Kvadraturen, and we are 11 or 12 galleries working there, like a cluster of galleries. Karianne is representing like the Norwegian Painters Association, and we have other galleries focusing on textile, on drawings, contemporary art crafts. So we like represent a wide scope. And we have a project that we have been working on for a few years now, which is called the Oslo Art Walk, which is like a project where we would like to enlighten like path we can walk from like the medieval Oslo through Bjørvika and these institutions there, which I already mentioned, through Kvadraturen and over galleries and over to the new National Museum, Aker Brygge and Tjuvholmen with the Astrup Fearnley and a few commercial galleries there. So it's like a project. We have already had some pilot project where we are publicly funded to like highlight and to make it a digital, like for people to know where to go, where to visit art galleries and institutions in Oslo.
Well, that's a hard thing. I mean, I've known other cities that have done things like that. And what's hard about it is it feels from the sort of outside often like a lot of those things end up being like, if you pay money, you get to be part of the walk. And if you don't have enough money, you don't get to be part of the walk. And so basically the people, the haves get richer and the have-nots lose out. Would that be the same here? Keep in mind, this is from an American perspective, capitalism, all that kind of crap.
This is not like commercial where you buy like a ticket. This is just to highlight the areas to show people where to go.
Okay,
both
so
on digital
information.
Both on a digital platform, but also when you walk there, you can see signs that are uniformly designed. Yes, and lighting and maybe temporary art projects along the path, and we can have like. You can put other things like festivals or
Wait, so does this art walk already exist?
No.
It's in the making.
It's in the making. Okay.
Yeah.
When is it projected to be available?
It depends on the public funding.
Fair.
So let's
fair.
We had a goal that it was going to be up when the new National Museum opened.
Which was the last couple of days.
Yeah.
So,
But it didn't happen.
Give us a year or two.
another year or so. Okay.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
think so.
All right. Is there anything that you want to see happen or be created to elevate this region, this art district?
Everybody wants to see that you have an increase of audience and focus on like different galleries, on our artists, and not only locally, but then trying to reach out further than Norwegian borders or Oslo borders. We are an association for the Norwegian contemporary artists, so it's not only situated in Oslo, although our galleries in this district. So our goal would be that our artists would be more visible and a good collaboration with all the other galleries. Maybe as we mentioned before we started recording, to have opening nights or a Thursday a month that that you can walk through all these galleries and there's happenings. But this is all on the planning phase. So
planning between whom?
The galleries, the collaboration called the Oslo Art District.
Oh, okay. So that's the sort of, you all have so many things, organization, association, union. I'm so confused on what each of them mean. But so this is an organization?
It's a collaboration.
So it's not even to the point of an organization yet. Got it.
It's how many? 11. You said 11 different galleries which are all situated here in like the old city of Oslo, between the big museums and cultural buildings. Yeah.
Which brings up an interesting topic. So you say it's sort of this coalition of people and businesses is all about the businesses. Do you have any buy-in from the institutions? And is there any good or bad relationships between the big institutions and the sort of private galleries? Sometimes there's some towns where like the institutions just don't give a shit about the galleries, and vice versa.
Like speak for ourselves, our gallery. The National Museum comes to see most of our exhibitions, and they also buy from it. So that's very good. And I also think they come to quite a few of the other galleries as well.
Yeah, and they've bought things from us as well. Yeah. But I think it's a good collaboration. We're friends.
Yeah.
And it's there's no like enemies or making enemies, or I think it's more like you want to support you want to support each other and like being supportive and making like this collaboration that we have is all about doing our gallery visible at the same time as you lift or you make all the other galleries visible. And like, I don't have an English word, but like lifting up like a big flock of galleries.
High tide raises all boats, something like that.
So it's more like, community thinking,
The reason why I say that, though, is because like okay, so let's take the institution. Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate. Okay, so just bear with me. The Munch Museum and the National Gallery, they both have their own public relations people or firm that they work with that do their publicity and marketing, and they already have their own budget for all that kind of stuff. Do they or would they collaborate with anybody else? Like, do they even collaborate with each other as far as like marketing and publicity? And then would they then collaborate with you all to like really build this up?
When I talk about Oslo Art Walk, the project that we are working on, we obviously have talked to the Munch Museum, the National Museum, and all Oslo family, and they're all in it. They want to collaborate.
Okay, great.
For the institutions and for the galleries. So, yes.
And there's already a collaboration between the big museums and as well Kunstnernes Hus, which is another institution, on the education side. So there is a lot of collaborations, and they talk to each other and make and have group settings. And I know also that some of the big institutions like Munch, they do collaborate with smaller galleries, and they have done. When they were closed down, they had a big program of things that happened all around Oslo, and then they collaborated with artists and with smaller galleries and with just to like keep things going while the museum was closed for some years. And I think that has had the effect on people as well, as we started off with, that it has increased the interest of the public, because there has been a lot of collaborations, there has been a lot of like projects that are on the small scale things as well as on the large scale things. So, yeah.
But I guess you can always have more collaboration, definitely. But one thing that is emphasized is both from the governmental funding and from the big institutions are to include the younger people to actually to see art and experience art and maybe do art themselves. Norway is a country for like sports fanatics, so I think that's a nice shift, because you need the younger if we want to thrive and develop as an art scene. I think you must include the younger people, include them from the start. So one of the pilot projects that we actually had in this Oslo Art District was for young people. So, and that was quite successful.
Yeah, I have to say, you all are like one of the fittest people I've ever seen in my life. Like you all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean it both as a compliment to you and an insult to me. I mean, like you all walk everywhere. You're super healthy. Like you eat well. Like I feel like a horrible slob around you all and you all dress rather sharply as well, surprisingly. So I just want to throw that out there. Anyways, the topic of like kids is an interesting thing, because like some institutions care a lot about that kind of stuff. I mean, obviously your bigger institutions, so your National Gallery and Museum, the Munch Museum, they're going to care about that kind of stuff because that's going to grow their interest base. Private galleries, I mean, and even associations, I'm not sure, like, is bringing in like school kids and stuff like this, is this important for a healthy arts environment?
I think so. So, yeah.
I'm a professor, so I'm a little biased.
I think so. And we at LNM, we had a project where we had for some years where we invited school classes, kindergartens to different workshops and different experiences with the artists that were showing their show in the gallery. And the point of that was to, of course, also meet the artist and be able to like dig into what him or her would do with their art and have workshops around that. So it has been very important. We haven't been able to do that for some years now of natural reasons, but the focus now is more on like younger or youth more than children. Focuses are different also, and that also comes from like governmental funding, because you have guidelines. So everything's like in a circle of you apply for things.
Oh yeah, criteria.
Yeah, criteria of how to
boxes that have to be ticked for governmental things.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it changes as well from political side. So it's
I'm sorry, political side?
Yeah, from the government side, you also have different views on how to spend money on arts. So it changes every time the political parties change their seat.
Okay, I understand that, because we have that same issue in America. Republicans don't like funding the arts. Democrats do like funding the arts. How many political parties do you all have here?
It's like...
In the Czech Republic, they have like 17 or something ridiculous.
10, yeah.
Okay. And how many of them are pro funding the arts and how many of them are...
I think that's
everyone is pro, but in different ways. Except one. But in different ways, in different focus. One has more focus on like more the social side or more the artist side, while some have more focus on how to create an industry side. So it's... just different focus, but still all would support art, yes, because that's very grounded in our culture. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that from the social democratic ideology to like include all people, also the younger people that would benefit the society.
Just to be clear, when we're talking about this, I mean, okay, I'll take this from my own perspective. I grew up in Washington, D.C., okay? So like home of American politics. I hate it. But the one thing I hate about the arts, which I think you all are doing it far better than we do in America. In America, we only really have two political parties. And so basically, like when Democrats are in, arts is great. When Republicans are in power, arts is horrible. That's it. There's no in between. There's no other little nuances to it. It's just those two sort of separations. So I grew up and was trained disliking it when politics and the arts were combined. I felt from America, I find that it's problematic because then the funding of arts in a different way than you all. The funding of arts is basically reliant on who's in power. So if Republicans are in power, we don't get funded. If Democrats are in power, we get funded. Sounds like you all have it a little bit better where like, 10 out of 11 parties are pro funding the arts, but it's just what part of the arts kind of thing.
It's not what's part of the art, but it's in different levels of supporting art. Does
levels mean quantity of money?
No, not talking money. More like focusing. Is it the focus on creating creative industries, or is the focus on trying to build artists and build an audience, or to build like the social part of art, or the democratic part of art?
Engagement.
The engagement. Yeah, right. So it's like different focuses. It's not like the money going up and down like big waves.
Okay, so the money is consistent, but it's just
almost,
ish.
Yeah, ish.
I've never asked actually how much it is, but we're not going to get into that. But so like, what I guess sort of like from your perspectives, what's the best way that the government could be more supportive? I love it how as soon as I ask a question about politics, you are like, I'm not answering that.
Yeah, I mean, commercial galleries, they don't receive funding.
Okay,
right.
Period. So
period. Or
okay.
When we go to London on this fair, we do receive some from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to represent Norway abroad.
I was going to ask about that, actually. That was a note I took here, because in the Czech Republic, I know art galleries can get partial funding to go to international art fairs. Yeah. So is that a thing?
That is a thing.
That's a good thing.
Yeah,
it's a good thing.
It makes it possible to actually because it's quite what do you call it?
Expensive.
It is expensive.
Well, but it's quite a gamble to choose to like go to a new market and try to introduce your artists into a new market who don't necessarily know that person or may not buy anything. So like you're shelling out a lot of time, money, and energy with the hope and the prayer that when you get there, somebody's going to connect with that work.
Probably you have to participate like for 4, 5, 6 years to people get to know you and your artists. So it's like, if you can only be there once or twice, it's money down the drain.
Yeah, because the art world is all about relationships. So it takes the same people seeing you year after year and seeing your work. Sort of, they start getting more interested in it the more they see it, kind of thing.
That's right.
Yeah. So back to the politics question that you were avoiding.
What I want. No, I think it would be great to have more funding or to support more the artists' economies, to have more foundation for the artists to do their art and do their profession without having to fight for their rights to live or to show art. And so
I'm on your side.
If that's my choice, if I could choose.
Peter,
do you have any sort of input on how you would like to see the government?
I agree with Kari. That's obviously important.
Yeah.
That's the same thing. As an artist, you need some years to develop your art before you are something.
Yeah.
Before you actually find the
you find your style, your voice, your whatever word you want to put
your
to
path.
And your technical skills and
craftsmanship.
yeah.
Yeah, all that stuff. I mean, I always say that as artists, we're one of the only professions that like the three things we need most to do our profession well is time, space, and money.
Yeah.
Those are my three.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are more, but that's my trifecta.
Yeah. And I think you have a more lucrative art world if we could support, or if artists would have more support in finding their path, or and be able to focus more.
Are there like communal studio spaces and other things like this? Because I mean, one of the big problems with the arts industry pretty much throughout the world, as far as I can tell, like you go into art school, you get this great peer network, you get studios and all this equipment, and then as soon as you graduate, you lose all that abilities. You lose the people, you lose the communal feeling, the peer group, all that kind of stuff. I find that cities that have I'll call it communal studios, so like large old industrial buildings generally that have been renovated into artist studios often have much more vibrant art scenes than if they don't have that connected tissue.
We have that in Oslo and in Norway in general. Often, as you say, big industrial buildings that are
totally
no longer in use, and we also, I just want to mention, because that's a good thing, because there are a lot of workspaces not for artists in Oslo. There's a lack of that, but every spring we have something called Oslo Open. And it's for a weekend where all the artists open their spaces, and people can walk around and experience all their workplaces and all their art, and also everything that you can't see in exhibitions or in galleries or on social media or everywhere else. And you can also see how they work and have speak to the artist and be able to experience art in a different way. And so it would be also nice if that weekend could be funded so that it could be 2 weekends, because then you have time to see everything.
Or
That's
every
also
6 months even.
Yeah. And I think it's a very good thing. And it's a different experience for an experienced art audience and also for new art audience to meet the artist. It's a very positive thing, I think, for most people, because it gets more intimate, and you can ask all the stupid questions and not be going around with your nose up high and having to talk different language.
It's a very good opportunity for the artists as well to meet the audience, because like newly educated artists from the academy, it takes years to get a gallery space, to get an exhibition. And by these open studio nights, they actually can meet the audience and practice to meet the audience. That is a good thing, because they don't learn that at the
No. It's a very good thing.
Oh yeah, that's an issue. Like there's so many incredibly talented, creative artists that are the worst at publicizing themselves, myself included. So, I mean, like I can sell anybody's artwork except mine.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. I'm horrible. I don't know why it is, but there are some that are, of course, experts at it. Jeff Koons, Damien Hirst, all those kinds of people. But most of us are really bad at selling, convincing people or telling stories that engage people. It's really weird. I don't know why we have that problem, but that's not what we're here to talk about. So, what about? Okay, so we're still trying to sort of focus on the contemporary Oslo art scene. Oslo, from my impression as an outsider, is very expensive to live in. That's my opinion. I don't know if that's fact. I haven't done any research, but yet it feels very feels very expensive. I mean, I don't even want to talk about the prices of food and stuff. Like, it's ridiculous. Not as much as Iceland, but still ridiculous. So my question though is like, has Oslo, I guess, do a lot of artists live in Oslo, or do they live elsewhere and then sort of bring their art here? Because it feels like the city to a certain extent has sort of outpriced the ability for artists to work in the city proper.
It is a very expensive city, yeah. And to live here is very expensive. To have a studio here could be quite expensive if you you're not that lucky to have the more supported places.
Do you all have a thing like what we call rent control, where like once you're in, they can't raise the rent on you?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Never heard about it in Oslo.
Okay, yeah, I didn't think so.
But I think there are a lot of people or artists living in Oslo in different areas, but there are also a lot of artists that have both studios and live like just outside the border of Oslo. So it's just both, I think. Some just cope with the prices, or you have to work with something else as well then, and because you can't support yourself on only your art. So like almost every artist around the world.
Well,
so.
Almost every artist around the world trying to live in a major metropolitan area. Yeah. Because like if you lived out in a rural area, you could easily afford to, just be a working artist generally.
Yeah. In Norway as well, I think. Yeah. Haven't tried, but
I'm totally
I would think so.
And it for many artists, it also takes some time before you get like funding from the government kind of.
So just as a last sort of topic, basically, like what is your aspirations or hopes for the future of the art scene in Oslo?
I hope that more people actually come to visit Oslo and see our fantastic new institutions, the art scenes, as well as the smaller galleries, which really represent some really clever artists, which holds a high level of like international craftsmanship, and as well as get them abroad to let the rest of the world see our fantastic art. Yeah.
Just as a little side note, how important is that? Because a lot, like when I was in America, so again, I was in America, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, you should go to Europe. Europe would be great for you." And I get to Europe, and everybody's like, "Oh, you're so American." Like, didn't win either way. But a lot of artists think, and galleries and institutions think that like going elsewhere will somehow elevate their status, their whatever. Do you find that to be important to have that international?
I think for the artists, it's important because it shows on their biography, it creates their name, and it's something that you can show off to your peers and also to others. But it's and also it gives you kudos in the art community, so that's important. Yeah.
But you mentioned when you visit my gallery that one of our artists are like engraving or notes or money in Norway, and we also exhibit him and bring him abroad. But I wish for more people to see, because he sits in his workshop, works for hours, weeks, months, years to make like a small edition engravings, which are really great. So for him and for us, I would like more people to see it.
Yeah.
So it is sort of a push that you all want to take, because to a certain extent, and again, please do not take offense to this, but like Norway's a small country and you're kind of not in the hub of everything. So I feel like there probably is some amount of importance of making sure to take the art that's here and take it somewhere else, because at the moment, from what I'm hearing, basically sort of not enough people are coming here. So you have to participate a little bit more in sort of outreach and putting the work in front of them there, where they are.
Yeah.
Norway is a small country with a small art scene. So we would like more people to actually come. Yeah. And as I said, also, Norway being like a sports country. Yeah. And so much focus on sports.
Yeah.
So there are...
so much support to sports as well, and I think it's also
sport art. Yeah. You need to make sport art. So like
that's a great idea.
If you paint cross-country skiing, you are in.
Yeah. And I think it's important also for us in the art community to show that Norway is not just like nice fjords and snow and polar circle, and that we have.
They are beautiful, though.
Yeah, they are beautiful. I do agree. I'm from the West Coast, so I do agree. But that's not like the. We have different parts of our culture, and since we also have a very vibrant scene in all the big cities in Norway, there's a very vibrant art scene. not many people, because we are not many people, but it's a vibrant scene, and it's been growing and it's been more vibrant. So I think it's my wish for the future is, like Peter says, that it's to have more people experience all the sides of what Norway actually is, and also the more urban cultures or the more other sides of what a culture can be, not only fjords and snow and skiing. And to have more great collaborations and be more able to support the art scene ourselves.
Marvelous. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the entire episode. We would appreciate it if you would share this podcast with your friends, family, coworkers, studio mates, or anybody with an interest in the arts and creative endeavors. The building and strengthening of the arts and creative community is at the core of our mission for this podcast. They can listen and subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. We are produced by 5014. The audio was edited by CushAudio Services, and the music was created by Pete Bybee. The Wise Fool Art Podcast is supported in part by an EEA grant from Iceland, Liechtenstein, and Norway in an effort to work together for a green, competitive, and inclusive Europe. We would also like to thank our partners Hunt Kastner in Prague, Czech Republic, and Kunstsentrene i Norge in Norway. Links to EEA grants and our partner organizations are available in the show notes or on our website at wisefoolpod.com.